Ozark Highlands Radio is brought to you by the Ozark Folk Center State Park in Mountain View, Arkansas. A wonderful way to enjoy yesterday. On the web at ozarkfolkcenter.com. And by Stone Bank, a community bank supporting entrepreneurs and farmers nationwide with loans guaranteed by the USDA, SBA, and Farm Services Agency. Learn more at stonebank.com. And the Arkansas Arts Council, empowering the arts for the benefit of all Arkansans. On the web at arkansasarts.org. And by the Committee of 100 for the Ozark Folk Center, preserving Ozark folk culture since 1974 through music roots, craft apprenticeships, and the Heritage Herb Garden. Learn more at ofc100.org.
Greetings, folks. This is Dave Smith, host of Ozark Highlands Radio. Welcome to our show. This week we take a special road trip to Winfield, Kansas, featuring world-renowned cowboy singer-songwriter and storyteller Dave Stamey, recorded live at the 2024 Walnut Valley Festival. Our producer Jeff Glover offers an archival recording of Ozark original cowboy Glenn Orland, and our friend Brooks Blevins discusses tornadoes in the Ozarks. That's this week on Ozark Highlands Radio. Cowboys and Indians magazine has called him the Charlie Russell of Western music. True West magazine named him Best Living Western Solo Musician 4 years in a row. Dave Stamey has been a cowboy, a mule packer, a dude wrangler, and is now one of the most popular Western entertainers working today. We caught up with him at the famed Walnut Valley Festival in Winfield, Kansas, where we recorded him singing 4 of his original songs.
Well, it's old man at the feed store, trading gossip, spitting on the floor. It's a domino game on Friday afternoon. Trout jumping in a mountain stream in cotton fields along the San Joaquin. A old coyote fussing at the moon. Ad hoc on the power line, barbed wire fences, pinyon pine, the desert road stretching across the sand. Tractors, coffee shops and salesmen, and used car lots and windmills and old hippies in a van. It's a place and it's a feeling. Sometimes it's just a state of mind. May not be what you were looking for, but it's here in what you find. And it's all these things. It's the West. The Cowboys are opening baseball caps and empty space on McNally maps and yucca creosote and sage. Trailer parks in little dusty towns and warm winds when the sun goes down, and dry creeks and history on a page. It's a place and it's a feeling. Sometimes it's just a state of mind. May not be what you were looking for, but it's here in what you find. And it's all these things. It's the West. It can be anything you ever dreamed of, and it might be more than you bargained for. It's an image up on the silver screen. It's a ranch kid doing chores. Where grazing rights, conservation, smokes are cheaper on the reservation. 16 bales of oat hay to the ton, sometimes. Sycamore, prickly pear, and barrel racers with great big hair, and horses switching flies out in the sun. It's a place and it's a feeling. Sometimes it's just a state of mind. May not be what you were looking for, but it's here in what you find. And it's all these things. It's the West. May not be what you were looking for, but it's here in what you find. And it's all these things. It's the West. Thank you very, very much. I'm going to do a different song here. This is a brand new one. I was doing some research on the Indian Wars of the 1870s, 1880s, and was shocked to find that many people, there was an economic downturn after the Civil War, as there often is after a conflict like that. And so a lot of people would enlist in the military because they could get their 3 squares that way and a place to sleep, and 3 hots in a cot, as they say, and which happens, I mean, even now it's happening. But the training factor in a lot of those early Army days was a little bit iffy, if you will, and I was shocked to find that in many cases, if they found themselves in conflict and they had to fire their rifle, that may have been the first time that they ever fired that rifle. And what was even more shocking was to find out that the provender that they were supplied with in, say, 1874, 1875 would have a expiration date of 1865 on it. They were leftovers from the Civil War. And the main method of provender in those days was a thing called hardtack, which is a sort of a large saltine cracker of the consistency of a ceramic piece, and you would have to soak it into your coffee and use it that way. And I thought that was very interesting, so I thought I would cobble together a little song about that. So. Old Iron Ass, he pushed us pretty hard today. No telling how many miles we rode. Captain Keogh says it's close to 30. He'd been around a while, I guess he'd know. Major Reno's been drunk now quite a while, and the brass ain't listening to the warnings. They say there ain't an Indian in 40 miles, but the scouts say we'll meet plenty in the morning. And this hardtack has gotta be 10 years old, full of weevils, hard as a stone. Soak it in your coffee for your evening meal. Lord, I wish I could go back home. I wish I could go back home. Frank, what's your take on Brother Tom? You ever seen a man so arrogant and loud? He struts around like he's the one hung the moon. His brother's the general, so he's proud. We only been in camp now a couple hours. Now it's 2 a.m. and they say it's time to go. It's darker than the lowest pits of hell. a harder night I think I've never known. And I'm thinking hard about going over the hill. There's a girl back home I'd like to see. I'm only here 'cause I couldn't find no work. But Frank, maybe the army ain't for me. Maybe the army ain't for me. Frank, I never been in a fight before. I never even seen that kind of dance. I never even fired this here Springfield. I guess tomorrow I might get me the chance. Frank, I'll be glad when this is over. I won't have to ride this horse no more. They say we'll reach a valley come daylight on some creek they call the Little Big Horn. And I'm thinking hard about going over the hill. There's a girl back home I'd like to see. I'm only here 'cause I couldn't find no work. But Frank, maybe the cavalry ain't for me. Maybe the cavalry ain't for me. Maybe the cavalry ain't for me. Thanks. Thank you very, very much. North of Red Rock Canyon, which is north of Mojave on Highway 14 on the eastern high desert country of California, was used to be a little hand-lettered sign that stood up there, and it said, pointed off to the east, and it said, Opal Canyon. I first saw that sign about 1979, 1980, somewhere in there, when I was headed north to Bishop, California, to go on a little pack trip up there, and had my wife with me, and we noted that sign. It was, as I say, it was a hand-lettered sign, and somebody had just made it up, and I said to my wife, I said, well, I wonder if you went up that canyon, if maybe you'd find some opals, you know. And then my wife said, no. Probably what it is there's an old gal up there in that canyon living in a little trailer, and she's got a big old muumuu dress and a floppy straw hat, and her name is Opal, and they just named the canyon after her, and we laughed about that. And I probably went by that sign, I don't know, 100 times, and finally about 15 years later, I was headed back up that country and went by there, and by now the Caltrans, the Department of Transportation there in the state of California, had put up an actual road sign, big green thing. It was an official sort of a Caltrans road sign, said Opal Canyon, pointed off to the east there, and which has since disappeared, and people have actually accused me of stealing it. I did not. I swear I didn't. But, about 2 hours after that, I had this song finished, and so I like to tell people that this song took me 15 years and 2 hours to write. So. Opal lives in Opal Canyon. Opal lives in a trailer there. Little gray trailer with a good sound sticker, living out there in the desert air. Little round Henry lives there with her, looking for gold in the sagebrush hills, picking can you shovel down a metal detector? I ain't never found one, probably never will. Ain't got nothing, don't need nothing, everything's here in a circle of love. Happiness found in an old gray trailer, sagebrush around him and the stars above. Calico cat, one-eared hound dog, sleeping in the shade of a Joshua tree. Most nights moonlight fills the arroyo. Lord have mercy, ain't it good to be free? Old Henry pokes through the washes in the canyons, looking for gold in the desert heat. Opal cooks beans on a Coleman camp stove. Henry gets home, she rub his feet. She's a nice gal. Not everybody do that. Troubles and worries she put behind her, fussing round the trailer in an old straw hat. Got her magazines, her crossword puzzles, a one-eared dog, a calico cat. I ain't got nothing, don't need nothing, everything's here in a circle of love. Happiness found in an old gray trailer, sagebrush around them and the stars above. A calico cat, one-eared hound dog, sleeping in the shade of a Joshua tree. Most nights moonlight fills the arroyo. Lord have mercy, ain't it good to be free? Papa used to be an uptown lady. She had a little bitty teeny weeny waist and beehive hair. Henry come and courted her with tales of the desert. Finally, Opal said, well, honey, let's go there. Troubles and worries she's put behind her, fussing round the trailer in an old straw hat. Got her magazines and her crossword puzzles, a one-eared dog, a calico cat. I ain't got nothing, don't need nothing, everything's here in a circle of love. Happiness found in an old gray trailer, sagebrush around them and the stars above. A calico cat, one-eared hound dog, sleeping in the shade of a Joshua tree. Most nights moonlight fills the arroyo. Lord have mercy, ain't it good to be free? Lord have mercy, ain't it good to be free? Whew. Well, you just feel the tension building, huh? Now don't mess with me, you better stay out of my way. Ain't I a sight to see, scowling every minute of the day? There's never been a bullet could pierce my hide, and there's never been a woman wanna be my bride. And I'll track across that floor that you just cleaned, 'cause I'm mean.
Cowboy singer Dave Stamey, singing some songs he wrote. We heard It's the West, followed by Corporal's Lament, Opal, and I'm Mean. We'll be hearing more from Dave in this week's show, but after this short break, let's head down to the vault to ask Jeff Glover about one of my old friends. You're listening to Ozark Highlands Radio. Welcome back to Ozark Highlands Radio. Listening to all this cowboy music makes me think of an old friend of ours. Let's head down to the vault and see if Jeff Glover has any of his music recorded.
Hello, Dave.
Hi, Jeff. Well, you're working along down here, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. Just working right along.
Yeah. Hey, I'm loving this Dave Stamey music this week, but it makes me think about my old friend Glenn Orland, who's a real deal cowboy, kind of like Dave Stamey is, and passed on now, but he sure did some great songs and great storyteller and joke teller. What have you got of his?
You know, I got a lot of material by Glenn Orland.
I'll bet you do.
Yeah, this one is particularly fun. He tells a joke at the beginning in this one, and then he sings a song called Tying Knots in the Devil's Tail. You want to hear this?
I'd love to.
Here you go.
And I know lots of songs and lots of long poems, and I guess people thought maybe I was good in school, but I never was. In fact, I didn't have any interest in it. And they just couldn't teach me anything except stuff like that. And one morning I was asleep at my desk, and the teacher woke me up, shook me real hard. He says, "Who signed the Declaration of Independence?" And I said, "Heck, I don't know." And he says, "I won't have anyone like you in my class. You go home and you stay away." So I went home. Dad says, "You're home early." I said, "Yeah, they sent me home. Said they didn't want me to come back no more," which was fine with me. He says, "Well, I'll go back with you tomorrow and we'll get to the bottom of this." So we went back the next morning, and Dad says, "How come you sent Glenn home?" He says, "I won't have anybody like that in my class." I woke him up. He was asleep. Asked him who signed the Declaration of Independence, and he said, "Heck, I don't know. I ain't going to have nobody like that in my class." So I sent him home. Dad says, "Well, wait just a minute. We'll straighten this out." He got me by the collar and dragged me outside and says, "Now listen, if you sign that blame thing, I want you to own up to it." Here's Tying Knots in the Devil's Tail. Well, away high up in the Sherry Peaks where the yeller jack pines grow tall, Buster Jiggs and Sandy Bob had a roundup camp last fall. Any old calf that flopped long ears that came across that day had his long ears chiseled and his old hide sizzled in a most artistic way. Says Buster Jiggs to Sandy Bob as he took his long frame down, "I'm getting tired of cowboy days, let's take a jog to town." They started out at a right smart lope, 'cause there weren't no sight of a ride, and them was the days when a good cow punch could ile up his insides. At the old Kentucky bar, they stopped at the end of Old Whiskey Row. They wound up tight sometime that night, some 40 drinks below. The house turned around and set them up, and boys, I'm a-telling you right, tell the God-forsaken truth, the boys got stewed that night. Well, then they lit out for the Sherry Peaks, a-packing a darn good load. Who should they meet but the devil himself a-prancing down the road? He said, "Carnsarn, you cowboy skunks, you better head-hunt your holes. I am the devil from hell's rim rock, come a-gathering up your souls." "The devil be derned," says Sandy Bob, "us boys both know we're tight. Before you'll corral any cowboy souls, you darn sure have to fight." He throwed his loop and he throwed her straight. She spun down good and true. He caught the devil by his pointed horns and he took his dallies too. Now Buster Jiggs was a Riata man with his rawhide coiled up neat. He punched him a hole and he flung her down fair and he caught the devil's hind feet. They stretched him out and they laid him down while the sizzling irons grew hot. They trimmed him up with a dehorn saw and they branded him a lot. Well, they tied 10 knots in the old boy's tail and they left him there for a joke. With a billerin' cough, they loped right off, left him neck to a blackjack hope. If you ever go to riding in the Sierra Peaks and you hear one hell of a wail, it's only the devil as he yowls and growls at the knots tied in his tail.
Oh, boy, nice to hear old Glenn again. He was a great storyteller, and anything he told sounded like a joke because just of the way he told it.
Yeah, you know, when I was out in Winfield and I met Dave Stamey, I talked to him about Glenn Orland, and he knew him quite well. They had worked together on events over the years, and they were pretty familiar with it.
Yeah, and Glenn used to go out to Elko, Nevada to the big cowboy poetry festival every year for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was Glenn Orland doing Tying Knots in the Devil's Tail.
All right, nice to hear him again. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
You bet, Dave. I'll see you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
The annual Walnut Valley Festival, now in its 53rd season, is one of the oldest and most respected acoustic music festivals in the world. Held at the Winfield, Kansas Fairgrounds, more than 30 musical acts will perform on 4 separate stages, presenting over 200 hours of live music. Let's catch a couple more songs from this week's featured guest, Dave Stamey, starting with 2-Day Country.
I spent a good number of years working for outfitters in the eastern slope of the Sierra Nevada mountains in eastern California, and I probably got into managed to slide into the last couple of seasons where outfitters would keep packers. We were called packers, and they would keep packers on for the entire season full time. They kept us on full time, and we slept in the bunkhouses and stayed out there with the mules and everything for the entire season. And we had different ranges, different permits that we were allowed to explore, and there was front country, and then there was back country. And the back country was in the official wilderness area, and it had its own set of rules. And but we actually we referred to it, rather than front country and back country, as 1-day country and 2-day country, because there were certain areas where you went into to drop people off or take a trip, and you couldn't get back. You couldn't get there and back to the pack station in 1 day, and we called that 2-day country. And I remember there was one old boy that if it had been up to him, he'd have just stayed out there all the time, and he would trade off. You'd bring a party out and take another one in, and he'd meet you at the top of the pass and take him on into the back country, and never come back to headquarters for like weeks at a time. And he was sort of an ornery, reclusive individual, and had some interesting habits, as a lot of us do. But this is a little song I put together about him. Men curse the wind when it won't lay down. And I get lonesome ghosts dragging memories around. Up here on the mountain, the endless granite shines. But in this 2-day country, the wind is a friend of mine. It's a hard old world, the cold moon shining down. There's aches and regrets, and you're sleeping on the ground. Back down on the flatland, it's all nickels and dimes. But in this 2-day country, country, the wind is a friend of mine. If you ride along enough, you can hear it call your name. It's the only thing I know in this world that stays the same. Cold camp evening, hear it moaning through the trees. I could make it in tomorrow, but I don't see the need. There's shadows on the rocks, and I'm looking for a sign. In this 2-day country, the wind is a friend of mine. If you ride along enough, you can hear it call your name. It's the only thing I know in this world that stays the same. Men curse the wind when it won't lay down. Like a lonesome ghost dragging memories around. Up here on the mountain, the endless granite shines. But in this 2-day country, the wind is a friend of mine. In this 2-day country, the wind is a friend of mine. If you've never been in the financial straits that caused you to have to get aboard a Greyhound bus to go somewhere, count yourself lucky, because there are many here who still bear the scars of that experience. But as you were waiting there at the bus station to get on board the bus, there was always that one guy that you used to see. He was the fellow that had the floppy tennis shoes and the sports coat with the ragged sleeves from Goodwill, and his hair was always sticking out all over the place, and he had this startled look on his face, and he would walk around the bus station talking to himself before that was a fashionable thing to do. And you never wanted to make eye contact with him, because then he would come over and want to be your friend. And one day, a number of years ago, I found myself trapped in the Seattle airport for 14 hours, and I became that guy. The thing about an airport is you can't get out of there. You can't leave, and you're trapped. So I, in order to keep my sanity, I decided I would try and write a song. And what kept going through my head was the fact I was really glad I wasn't a horse, because a horse, when he feels claustrophobic and trapped, he will run through a fence, he will run through a barn door, he will run through a barn wall to try and get away. And so I started singing this song over and over to myself, and I didn't have any way of recording it. I didn't have any pencil or paper to write it down. So the only thing I had to do was kind of repeat it to myself over and over. So I kind of walked around the whole terminal talking to myself. And nobody wanted to make eye contact with me. It was pretty amazing. He's got a house on the hill got a head on his shoulders, done real well, it's what they all say. Drives a brand new truck, and folks respect him. He knows he should be thankful every day, but in the long dark night, he lies there wondering, is this everything life's supposed to be? And a cold, cold panic tries to grab him. He wants to jump up, bust through the gate, go running free, like a runaway horse, jumping fences, tearing up the country, trying to get away, running scared, running blind, ripping right through the wind like a runaway horse. Oh, she's got a good heart, she's got a home and family, a man who loves her, kids who need her so. Oh, she had some dreams, but they never quite found her. If she has any regrets, you never know. But in the long dark night, there's a voice inside her, saying if she don't start now, she never will. And a cold, cold panic tries to grab her. She wants to jump up, bust through the gate, and run for the hills, like a runaway horse, jumping fences, tearing up the country, trying to get away, running scared, running blind, ripping right through the wind like a runaway horse. Oh, it's always there, deep inside you, the howl of a wolf, the cry of a child, and it rattles your heart like a bird in the willows, always there and always wild. And in the long dark night, you can hear it calling. It sounds so loud, it sounds so real, and you just want to run in a cold, cold panic. You swear you feel the world nipping at your heels, like a runaway horse, jumping fences, tearing up the country, trying to get away, running scared, running blind, ripping right through the wind like a runaway horse, ripping right through the wind like a runaway horse.
Those were a couple more songs written and performed by Western performer Dave Stamey, Two-Day Country and Runaway. When we come back after this short break, Brooks Blevins will present part 2 of his brief history of Ozark tornadoes. This is Ozark Highlands Radio. Welcome back to Ozark Highlands Radio. This week, author and historian Dr. Brooks Blevins continues his history of something we see too often in the Ozarks, tornadoes. Here's Brooks.
We're back for more high winds, funnel clouds, and weather warnings. I get the sense that the American public's mental map of Tornado Alley extends down the plains of Kansas and Oklahoma, maybe into Texas, but not so much into the Ozarks. History shows us, however, that the Ozarks is squarely in that alley, whether we want to be or not. Let's go back in the hills for the second part of the three-part series on tornadoes in real life and in song. When it comes to killer tornadoes, the Ozarks may not just be in the alley, we may be the alley. After all, on the plains of Oklahoma and Kansas, if it's daytime, you can at least see a funnel cloud coming. In the hills and hollers of the Ozarks, you can't see anything past the closest ridge to the west. Of the 20 deadliest tornadoes in U.S. history, 5 of them took place in part or wholly in Missouri. No other state can make that claim. Of these 5, 4 were Ozark storms. Down here in the southern part of the Ozarks, between 1880 and 1991, Arkansas suffered the highest tornado-related death rate per capita in the entire United States. In our first installment, we heard a song about the St. Louis Cyclone of 1896, the one of those 5 historic Missouri storms not located in the Ozarks. At the time, it was the costliest tornado in history. Missouri still holds that record, but now so does the Ozarks. Most of us remember the deadliest tornado of the past 75 years, the Joplin tornado of May 22, 2011. 158 people lost their lives instantly or eventually due to that storm in southwestern Missouri. As a rare EF5 tornado that tore through a densely populated area, the Joplin storm was also the costliest tornado in history in terms of its physical damages. It destroyed more than 4,000 buildings and damaged about that many more, first touching ground about 4 miles southwest of the city and petering out rather quickly after leaving its wide swath of death and destruction. It left in its wake approximately $2.8 billion in damages. The 9-story St. John's Regional Medical Center lay in the direct path of the storm. Practically every window in the massive building was blown out, and 5 patients died when the hospital's backup power system was disabled. The tornado picked up an 18-wheeler in the parking lot and flung it 125 yards, wrapping it around a tree that had been stripped of all its bark. So damaged that it was rendered structurally unsafe, the hospital had to be demolished. The storm destroyed Joplin High School, which was fortunately abandoned that evening as its graduation ceremony was held a mile away on the campus of Missouri Southern State University. The tornado leveled a nursing home, killing 21 people in the process. It destroyed a Walmart supercenter, a Home Depot, a Pepsi distribution warehouse, and an entire industrial park. It scoured the asphalt from parking lots, toppled cell phone towers, snatched up 100-pound manhole covers and flicked them into the sky like poker chips. And like all such massive cyclones, its concentrated powers of destruction seemed to tear at the very fabric of reality, defying the laws of physics and common sense. One of the most memorable sights for people in the aftermath of the 1896 St. Louis tornado was a pine plank driven through a wrought iron plate on the Eads Bridge. Not to be outdone, the Joplin tornado left behind a 2x4 speared into a concrete curb, steel posts bent to the ground in multiple directions, and pieces of cardboard embedded in stucco walls. The Ozark region not only lays claim to the most financially devastating tornado in history, but this place was the origin of the deadliest tornado in recorded history. The infamous Tri-State tornado began its violent existence in the hills of Reynolds County, Missouri, just before 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday, March 18, 1925. For the next 3.5 hours, it raged an incredible 219 miles, jumping the Mississippi River, crossing southern Illinois, and finally playing out some 10 miles northeast of Princeton, Indiana. The massive whirlwind of death annihilated everything in its 3/4-mile wide path, killing 695 people and injuring over 2,000 more. Nothing else in recorded history even comes close. The tri-state tornado took the lives of more school children and more farmers than any other storm. It wiped out whole towns. It spun off multiple funnels at times. All things considered, the Ozark phase of this deadliest tornado in history was light compared to the awful destruction and death toll it exacted on Illinois and Indiana. Although the tri-state tornado somehow escaped the ballad writers of the 1920s, one of that deadly decade's other memorable tornadoes just happened to hit the home county of A.P. Carter, one of country music's pioneer songwriters and musicians. He wrote The Cyclone of Rye Cove in 1929, and the Carter family recorded it later that year. The Cyclone of Rye Cove made its way to the Ozarks by radio and record. In Gainesville, Missouri in 1958, Max Hunter recorded this version sung by sisters Imogene Bushong and Verda Hamilton, courtesy of the online Max Hunter Folk Song Collection at Missouri State University.
Oh, listen today of a story I'll tell in a sad and tearsome way of a dreadful cyclone that came down here and blew our little schoolhouse away. Rye Cove, the place of my childhood and home. When life's early morn I once loved to roam, but now it's so silent and lone. When the cyclone appeared, it darkened the air. There was lightning in heaven's bright dome. And the children did cry, don't take us away, but spare us and let us go home. There was mother so dear and father the same. On the horrible scene they did moan. Oh, searching and crying, each found their own child, now dying on pillows of stone. Oh, give us a home far beyond the blue sky, where storms and cyclones are unknown. Where life's early morn I once loved to roam, but now it's so silent and lone.
Thanks, Brooks. Let's finish off this week's show with a couple more songs from cowboy singer Dave Stamey. Dave says he's played for audiences in 23 states and finds that he prefers this to being stomped by angry horses. In November 2016, Dave was inducted into the Western Music Hall of Fame.
Jack was a mule, worked in the syndicate mine. Since the age of 2, worked in the syndicate mine. Straining hard, shoulder and back, hoof beats echo like a thunderclap, pulling them old carts up the track, working in the syndicate mine. Working in the syndicate mine. Every year the same, never see the light of day. Rich in collar and hain, never see the light of day. Straight ahead and neither left or right, candle burning on the iron spike, through the glittering rock dust night, working in the syndicate mine. Well, working in the syndicate mine. Oh, pulling through the darkness where the drifts run endlessly. Oh, pulling through the darkness. Better than you and me. At the bottom of the world, his coat was white as snow. He worked in the syndicate mine. All he'd ever know was working in the syndicate mine. Hear the gang boss holler and rage. Can't remember the smell of sage. Pulling that oar to the hoisting cage. Working in the syndicate mine. Yeah, working in the syndicate mine. Oh, pulling through the darkness where the drifts run endlessly. Oh, pulling through the darkness. Better than you and me. At the bottom of the world, oh, Black Jack was a mule. He worked in the syndicate mine since the age of 2. Worked in the syndicate mine, straining hard shoulder and back. Hoof beats echo like a thunderclap, pulling them old carts up the track. Working in the syndicate mine. Yeah, working in the syndicate mine. Working in the syndicate mine. Hey! Thank you very, very much. Well, we'll do one more here. And I want to thank everybody for coming out so early this morning and supporting us out here. And it's always a delight and an honor to get to perform at Winfield. And it's always great to see everybody here. And I've made so many good friends in this area over the last 20 years. It's thanks for coming out. I really do appreciate it. It's this little song is a Jimmy Rogers song, and I have kind of an issue. I have a bone to pick with Jimmy Rogers. He's the guy who in the late 1920s, early 1930s decided that he was going to put a yodel into everything that he recorded, whether you liked it or not, and which is all well and good, but he was very, very influential. And he influenced many, many, many artists over the years, one of which was a young man named Gene Autry. And that's when everything went to heck. Because after that, we were all expected to know how to do this. And there's no reason for it. It makes no sense. I've been around the ranching industry all my life, and I've never met a cowboy who could yodel or wanted to. As a matter of fact, if you'd like to scatter a herd of cattle, that's the best way. Get right in the middle of them and yodel and see what happens. So if you do not like this, don't blame me. It's Jimmy Rogers' fault. So here we go. All around the water tank, waiting for a train, 1,000 miles away from home, sleeping in the rain. I walked up to a brakeman just to give him a line of talk. He says, if you got money, boy, I'll see that you don't walk. I haven't got a nickel, not a penny can I show. Get off, you railroad bound me, slam the boxcar door. I He put me off in Texas, state I dearly love. The wide open spaces all around me, the moon and stars up above. Nobody seems to want me or to lend me a helping hand. I'm on my way from Frisco, I'm heading back to Dixieland. My pocketbook is empty, my old heart is full of pain. I'm 1,000 miles away from home, waiting for a train. Everybody seems to like that yodeling, but face it, if your kid was doing that in a car, you'd make him stop it. He put me off in Texas, that's a state I dearly love. The wide open spaces all around me, the moon and stars up above. Nobody seems to want me or to lend me a helping hand. I'm on my way from Frisco, I'm heading back to Dixieland. My pocketbook, it's empty, my whole heart is full of pain. I'm 1,000 miles away from home, waiting for a train. Thank you, Winfield. Appreciate it.
Cowboy singer-songwriter Dave Stamey, recorded live at Winfield, Kansas, playing his original song, Blackjack, and Jimmy Rogers' 1929 song, Waiting for a Train. That's it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed this show of Dave Stamey's original songs. This is your host, Dave Smith. I'll see you next week.
Ozark Highlands Radio is produced by Jeff Glover. Executive producer is Darren Dorton. Additional support for this program comes from Arkansas State Parks, a division of the Arkansas Department of Parks, Heritage, and Tourism, with 52 unique reasons to visit the natural state. On the web at arkansasstateparks.com. The Committee of 100 proudly supporting the Ozark Folk Center State Park since 1974. And by Stone Bank with roots in Mountain View, Arkansas. Stone Bank is a proud supporter of heritage musicians and small towns across America, with government-guaranteed loans for farmers, entrepreneurs, and communities. More information available at stonebank.com. For information on upcoming shows and events, we are on the web at ozarkhighlandsradio.com. Until next time, I'm Donna Farrar.